But the shooter was himself pretending to be a woman. He was a trans terrorist. And that trans terrorist, in addition to having all kinds of rants about hating Christians, hating conservatives, hating Israel, and putting "Kill Donald Trump" on his magazines here. This is an issue for a lot of reasons. First, you'll remember that this is not the first time that a trans terrorist has murdered Christian school children. Of course, we had the shooting in Nashville, Tennessee at a Christian school. I believe it was 6 people killed in that one, 6 or 8 people killed. And another scenario where we didn't get the manifesto forever because the police were trying to cover it up. In that scenario, remember the reaction of the Democrats during that shooting. Okay. Joe Biden's in the White House. The Democrats are feeling victorious over the conservatives. And you could tell the way that they reacted because at that time, there was a push in several states, including Tennessee, to limit the amount of child mutilation that was legal in that state. And of course, Democrats are very pro-child mutilation. They love hurting children. That is what they live for. They want to harm children. They want to carve them up. They want to irreparably damage them. Democrats love it. Can't get enough of it. Even after they lost the last election, Democrats can't stop talking about how much they love trans kids. Want to mutilate them, want to brainwash them, want to scar them for life. Democrats love to hurt children. And so when a trans shooter who had been loaded up with all the hateful ideology that the left spits out, that Christians are evil, that Christians are fascists that are coming to kill and destroy them, that you need to worry about Christians, you need to hate Christians. When that shooter, steeped in that ideology, went through and blew away several Christians, including children, the left loved it, celebrated it. Remember the reaction at that time, okay? The reaction was it was inevitable because of the way Tennessee was passing laws. They blamed the state of Tennessee, its legislators, its voters, its parents. Those stupid Christians voting against child mutilation in their state, they deserve this. They had this coming. That was the narrative of the left. And you'll know this because they started sending protesters, not to protest the murder of children, not to protest the horrific crime against Christians, but to protest on behalf of trans people. They flooded the lobbies of state legislatures. And when it was talked about how many victims were in the shooting, they added the shooter. They said, oh, no, not 6, 7. One more. Because there's one more person. You need to remember, it's the trans person. They were trying to put the trans person on the same level as the children that they had murdered. They weren't there to protect Christians. They weren't there to protect children. They were there to protect trans terrorists, and they made it very clear. Madonna suggested, I don't know if she ever followed through with it, but she suggested that she was going to do a benefit concert. Not for Christians, not for the parents who had lost their children, not for the community that had been devastated, but for trans people. Because it's very clear she was endorsing the terrorism. And then Joe Biden decided he was going to continue on with all the Pride Month fanfare, even though it was just a month after everything that had happened. And he draped a pride flag in the middle of the podium of the White House, right above his head. Put it in a place of pride above the American flag. Gave it a place of honor above the American flag. And he said that trans kids are the soul of our country. So when a Democrat is telling you that, Christians are the problem, that opposing child transition is the problem, when they are talking about how every Christian is a fascist and Donald Trump is the return of Hitler, and if you don't do something drastic, we're going to become Nazi Germany. They are spinning these people up. Okay, they are spinning these people up on purpose. The left is insane. And you can tell because here, if this happened in Minnesota, let's hear from some of the top politicians of Minnesota. What has Tim Walz been talking about recently?
Minnesota ranks the highest per capital for being a safe haven for transgender individuals in Minnesota. And can I just say, we can talk about economic growth and feeding children and growing the economy and creating jobs simultaneously with talking about everybody's human rights matters, and we shouldn't be demonizing that.
So Tim Walz turned his state into a safe haven for cutting off the genitals of children because Tim Walz is a complete, insane, evil freak. He loves to harm children. He wants to scar them for life, and then he wants to point them at Christians and get them to murder them. That's who Tim Walz is. That's the guy who's supposed to be vice president under Kamala Harris. Tim Walz, champion of mentally ill terrorists. Tim Walz, lover of mutilating children and ruining their lives and destroying their mental health. Tim Walz is still celebrating this to this day. This was 2 days ago. Nothing. I was told the woke is getting put away. The woke is never getting put away. The woke is the left. The woke is the left. Tim Walz and his child mutilation is the left. That's who these people are. They want Christians dead. They want your children dead. And they are grooming shooters to kill them. This is not a joke. This is not hyperbole. Tim Walz hates you. He wants to mutilate children, steal them from their parents if the parents disagree, and then if those people inevitably spin out, because of course they will, because you scarred them for life and have them hopped up on all kinds of insane drugs and are having them embrace something that's complete fiction, has nothing attached to reality. When those people eventually shoot up your kids, he's going to be one of those guys sitting around and be like, guess they deserved it. And in case you don't believe me, again, in case you think I'm just, being hyperbolic, let's look at the lieutenant governor of Minnesota. Oh, look, it's her wearing a t-shirt, encouraging violence on behalf of trans people, encouraging people to harm and kill others because they oppose transitioning children. That's the left, okay? That's who the left are. These people have inspired riots, the BLM riots, the Antifa riots. And Antifa is just a terrorist organization owned by the Democratic Party that for some reason is still operating today, even though the Trump administration is in charge of the FBI. And I am done with this. I am done giving people space on this issue. Why isn't the FBI rolling up left-wing terrorist groups? Why isn't every organizing member of Antifa in jail? Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, what is happening? You're in charge of the federal law enforcement apparatus. You can bring charges against these people. If the left can throw protesters at abortion clinics in jail, if they can throw January 6th people who weren't even in the Capitol, people who didn't even go to Washington, D.C., if they can put those people in jail for years, you can put Antifa terrorists in jail. I know you can. Why aren't you doing it? BLM terrorists, Antifa terrorists, multiple presidential assassins inspired by left-wing media, one of which actually shot the president in the face. And also multiple trans shooters, multiple trans terrorists, inspired by left-wingers, politicians in the media, pushing that this is the solution to their problem, that Christians are the problem, that violence is the answer. These guys are fascists. These guys are Nazis. They're white supremacists. They're going to enslave women and kill trans kids and all, oppress minorities. And this is the language of people who want their audience to hurt people. They are specifically creating these sleeper cell guys who have their entire lives turned upside down by horrific mutilation, go on insane drug cocktails, completely rearrange what is already a very fragile psyche, already someone who's probably on the border of serious mental illness, serious breaks of reality, and you indulge it entirely, and then you say, these people are the enemy, and if they're allowed to continue breathing, you're going to lose everything that we've made you commit to. The left is not surprised at this shooting. The press, they don't think it's a tragedy. They don't think it's a mistake. They don't care about gun control. The left want this. The American left is a sprawling terrorist organization. It is designed to radicalize people who will do violence in their name, whether it's the LA immigration riots, the BLM riots, the Antifa riots, presidential assassinations, the school shootings of Christian children by trans terrorists. This is what the left exists to do.